believe were their ancestors. They only say ancestors now, but in ancient days, they knew they were worshiping Anubis. They knew who the gods of Egypt. They knew what they were worshiping. They didn't call them ancestors, but because they had to clean it up a little bit and call it their ancestors, but it's just the same demons. If you see them little statues and little Nicholas statues people got in their house, those are just little gods. Those are symbolized the gods of Egypt. Are you hearing what I'm saying? So Freemasonry is just white Egyptian witchcraft. It's white people got a hold to those scrolls and books and cut deals with Satan, and he made them rich, and now they are operating in the mystery schools of the hidden religion, which what Nimrod was operating in before God. I mean, it's what they were doing before the flood.
Hey, I want y'all to listen to this, and I want y'all, because I'm not going to say nothing, but I do want to get some of the families that's listening in and that is actively in the chat. I want to get y'all full opinion on what he's saying. You know what I mean? And I might even go ahead and drop the link, but y'all can definitely type it in the chat and I'll read them out. I want to get y'all opinion on this. All right, shout out to the family. Let's continue.
Satan, and he made them rich, and now they are operating in the mystery schools of the hidden religion, which what Nimrod was operating in before God. I mean, it's what they were doing before the flood. Before God flooded the world in the days of Noah, they were operating. That's why God destroyed everybody, because they were operating in this power outside of God. It was demonic. It was fallen angel power. The Bible talks about these angels came down, had sex with the daughters of men. They taught men certain things about the earth, about how to mix this and that. That's why they mixed up the DNA, mixed up everything. It was so bad. God said, I gotta destroy it, because there was no pure blood.
When you say angels, he's talking about interdimensional beings. That's just a side note.
These angels came down, had sex with the daughters of men. They taught men certain things about the earth, about how to mix this and that. That's why they mixed up the DNA, mixed up everything. It was so bad. God said, I gotta destroy it, because there was no pure bloodline except Noah and his sons. Got what I'm saying? What the fallen angels taught men is what we understand as the cult witchcraft. You can call it alchemy, but it's all about teaching men how to mix this and that to come up with something else. Are you understand what I'm saying? That's really what witchcraft is. Witchcraft, really, the real understanding of witchcraft is pharmakia or drugs. It's potions. It's mixtures. You mix stuff together, and if you mix this and this and this, it creates a spiritual thing. You mix natural things to create spiritual things. Come on, y'all got what I'm saying? That's why if you ever seen how these, I hope you ain't never seen it, but if you ever understood it, even if you've seen it as a child, little cartoons and stuff, a witch would always put this in the pot and this in the pot and this in the pot. They mix in natural stuff, but because this combination in the spirit world, these natural things is a key that unlocks something spiritually if you put it together. That's why certain things don't go together. Y'all heard what I'm saying? So therefore, they use the natural to unlock spiritual dimensions, to let demons come through, because demons is who is actually working for the witches.
They want you to think it's demons, but when they talk about these other dimensions, these are interdimensional beings that we're calling UAPs. They're not demons.
That's why certain things don't go together. Y'all want to talk about. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, they use the natural to unlock spiritual dimensions, to let demons come through, because demons is who is actually working for the witches. It's not no power where they just doing this and stuff is moving. It's evil spirits moving.
The witches were the Aboriginal women like Tubi and all the rest of the other witchcraft and trials that took place.
Moving stuff for them. But because they are in league with those spirits, because they have met the criteria, because they have done the spell which unlocks that spirit to come and work for them. For that spirit showing up, they got to sacrifice. This is where you get blood sacrifice and sex sacrifice. That's what most of you seeing in music now and videos is the sexual rituals, because these demons that are giving these artists this power of influence over the masses.
How y'all feel about him, though? I'm gonna end it right there. How y'all feel about that conversation, man? How y'all feel about that? Y'all let me know how y'all feel about that. I need to know how the family feel about that. I need to know how the family feel about that. Now I want to get into some more heat. I'm gonna get into the next topic of conversation here in just a second, but I do want to play a clip. I do want to play a clip from this Indian dude, who I seen on the internet, and he has something interesting to say. Now, this may ruffle some feathers a little bit, but viewer discretion is advised. And then we're gonna get into the next topic of the conversation, man. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. If you're still floating, you know what I mean, go ahead and let me know that y'all in the building. I told you we going up like gas prices. Tap in or get tapped out. Let's get to this next clip, though. You feel what I'm saying? Now listen, viewer discretion is advised.
Indians hide Masonic roots. Why did your grandma tell you y'all was Indian, but she never claimed it publicly? While the Indian Removal Act of 1830 primarily targeted tribes and nations for relocation west of the Mississippi, individual Native Americans who chose to denounce their tribal membership, assimilate into white society, and claim state citizenship could sometimes avoid forced removal. Grandma sold out and tried to buy back in as a Mason. Most of y'all grandmas told you y'all was Cherokee, right? It's common for many Black Americans to claim Cherokee ancestry, but Grandma didn't tell you they were a bunch of Freemasons. John Ross was the principal chief of the Cherokee Nation from 1828 to 1866, making him the longest serving chief in the nation's history. That was 1828. The year before that, guess what happened? Chief John Ross, principal chief of the Cherokee Nation, was a Freemason. He was raised as a Mason in Olive Branch Lodge number 53 in Jasper, Tennessee in 1827? But don't a lot of Black people claim Choctaw too? Many Black people claim Choctaw heritage, but your Choctaw grandmama never told you she was a Mason. Peter Pitchlynn, a longtime diplomat between his tribe and the federal government, served as principal chief of the Choctaw Republic. Peter Pitchlynn, a prominent member of the Masonic Order. But Crumb, what about the Chickasaw? Many African Americans, known as Chickasaw freedmen, claim and seek recognition from the tribe. Holmes Colbert was a 19th century leader and diplomat of the Chickasaw Nation in Indian Territory. Colbert was buried by the Masonic fraternity, of which he was a member, in high standing. They get a check every month to keep the Masonic secret, which is to hide, conceal, and never reveal. And after they crossed the Mississippi, the first Masonic lodge was established in what is now Oklahoma. Albert Pike is one of the most famous, influential, and prolific figures in American Freemasonry. Pike had extensive, complex, and close ties to Native American tribes, acting as their legal advocate, negotiator, and later a Confederate military leader. He specialized in claims against the federal government on behalf of tribes like the Cree, Choctaw, and Chickasaw. Remember, a Masonic apron is the primary badge of a Mason, and the breechcloth is one of the most iconic Native American garments. But wait, there's more. The murder of Hiram Abiff is central to the third degree ritual. This is the mock resurrection of the Master Mason according to Albert Pike's Morals and Dogmas on page 80. The ritual had echoes and correspondence within Native life, particularly the story that describes the council of animal familiars who restored the life of the good hunter, according to Iroquois legend. The Little Water Medicine Society of the Senecas, not the lion's paw, the bear's paw. Want the full breakdown from the books I've read? Catch me on Patreon or Too Raw for TV. Hit me on the DM for the link. Black Indians hide Masonic roots.
What y'all think about that? Let me run it back
again. The Indian Removal Act of 1830 primarily targeted tribes and nations for relocation west of the Mississippi, individual Native Americans who chose to denounce their tribal membership, assimilate into white society, and claim state citizenship could sometimes avoid forced removal. Grandma sold out and tried to buy back in as a Mason. Most of y'all grandmas told you y'all was Cherokee, right? It's common for many Black Americans to claim Cherokee ancestry, but Grandma didn't tell you they were a bunch of Freemasons. John Ross was the principal chief of the Cherokee Nation from 1828 to 1866, making him the longest serving chief in the nation's history. That was 1820.
I'm gonna end this video right here. End this right there. What y'all think about that? Is he cap? Nah, he ain't cap. I know he ain't cap, but I'm just asking the family. What y'all think? Because I got a bill coming up. Let me show y'all this book right here that I got. Look, American Indian Freemasonry Arthur C. Parker, 32-degree masonry. This book was written in 1919. It's in the Ontario Legislation Library, and it's in the University of Toronto Library. Yeah, we'll break this book down later on. That's a whole nother topic, family. That's a whole nother topic. You feel me? But we'll get to that on another note. But listen, let's get back into the meat and potatoes, man. I want to talk about Justin Pearson, him fighting for Memphis, and them ultimately dismantling the voter suppression rights that's going on in America. And particularly Memphis, they pretty much stripped away the black vote. You see what I'm saying? And that's really crazy. So a lot of people is going off in Memphis about it. So we're about to get into some clips with that. I do want y'all to get into what's going on. Shout out to everybody that's in the building too, man. I do want everybody to listen and see what's going on. Kind of want to let y'all get into some of the clips that we got lined up. But we do need everybody to we need to get these likes up. What we looking on the likes? What we looking like on the likes? And so I'm gonna play these clips, and we're gonna get into it, and then we're gonna bounce around just a little bit. But before we get into these clips, I want to let y'all see one of the main guys who've been kind of stomping, which is Justin Pearson. So we're gonna kind of get into some of those clips right now. Shout out to everybody that's in the building. Let's go.
These maps are racist tools of white supremacy at the behest of the most powerful white supremacists in the United States of America, Donald.
Especially everybody would do it.
These maps are racist tools of white supremacy at the behest of the most powerful white supremacists in the United States of America, Donald J. Trump. Memphis is the most beautiful place on the planet. It's the place that raised me, my brothers, my parents, my grandmothers, and where my ancestors' bones rest. And what you are doing today is eviscerating the only black majority congressional district in our state because we are majority black. This is about attacking, targeting, and cracking District 9 into pieces for more